Live from KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
The numbers are scary. Those are the words from Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar, who says he doesn't believe the number of COVID-19 cases in the jail has peaked yet. As of today, 60 deputies and 294 inmates have tested positive. 16 deputies have returned to work. 30 inmates have fully recovered.
Salazar says he believes the growing number of deputies and inmate cases is primarily due to proactive testing, which has proven that most confirmed cases at the jail are asymptomatic. Devin Clark joins us live outside the Bexar County Jail with more on what the sheriff had to say. Devin?
Well, Isis and Steve, in addition to what you just said, Sheriff Javier Salazar said that the jail is a microcosm of our society, and if community testing was more widespread, we'd actually see the cases outside of the jail increase as well.
I think that if we went into any retail establishment or restaurant in the country, or in the state for that matter, and we tested everybody in there, whether they appeared sick or not, I think the numbers would be staggering of those that are asymptomatic.
And to help slow the spread of the disease inside the jail, back in March, officials began to release some nonviolent inmates to help reduce the jail population. Today, Salazar showed reporters the peroxide solution that's being used to disinfect common areas inside the jail twice a day. And he also mentioned that masks will, from here on out, be a part of deputies' uniforms. Now, rather than focusing on trying to figure out how COVID-19 positive inmates and deputies contracted the illness, Salazar, who has had limited in-person contact with the jail population and therefore has not been tested yet, says his team has and will continue to focus on mitigating the spread of COVID-19 by constantly cleaning, isolating those necessary, and providing testing to deputies on the front lines as well as inmates. He says he is also providing inmates with resources should they become sick after they leave the jail.
And that's what this testing effort is letting us know, that even if this person appears fine, they're asymptomatic, but I would like to know that that person is COVID positive in order to give them what they need to help protect themselves on the way out the door, but more importantly, to protect the community at large. The last thing we want to do is to exacerbate the problems that we're already seeing out in the community.
And anyone, former inmate or someone who has never been inside of the Bexar County Jail, can call the COVID-19 hotline. Of course, we'll have the number on our website, KSAT.com. For those of you who want to write it down right now, it's 210-207-5779. Coming up on our website, we will also have the exact number of cases of inmates and deputies who have tested positive as of today inside of the Bexar County Jail. For now, reporting live, Devin Clark, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Devin. Of course, we'll hear from the mayor and county judge as well coming up here in a few minutes. Meanwhile, Texas Governor Greg Abbott pushing on with his plan to reopen the Texas economy. Next up to reopen, nail and hair salons, barbers, and gyms will be allowed to open later this month. Abbott made that announcement this afternoon from Austin. Low test rates and steady hospitalization rates, the reasons the governor says it's time for these businesses to reopen. Social distancing measures will be in place. On Friday, salons and barber shops can reopen, but Governor Abbott says it's up to each business owner to decide whether they feel it's safe to do so.
And I understand that some may be thinking, well, there's no way I can be opened up by then. There's too much I have to do. And that's completely understandable. Or they may think, well, I'm afraid about my health being exposed, and hence I don't want to open up. That's fine. No one is being required to open up.
By the way, the next opening date is May 18th. According to the governor, that's when gyms and exercise facilities can open. As for bars, the governor says it is still too soon.
A plan to help San Antonio reopen safely unveiled today during a joint city council and commissioners court meeting. The economic transition team presented several recommendations in its report today. One of the biggest was a marketing campaign that includes a Greater, Safer Together pledge that businesses can sign to help instill confidence in consumers. The pledge means these businesses are taking proper precautions. The pledge is hosted on the website of the city's nonprofit tourism agency, Visit San Antonio, whose president and CEO is excited about the prospect of the city reopening.
if we start seeing plans to reopen and different restrictions lifted, we still have conventions that are booked from July on. So we're really excited to be able to welcome conventions and meetings back to San Antonio once again.
The Economic Transition Team's report also includes checklists for businesses in numerous industries to guide them on how to safely reopen.
The number of positive tests for COVID-19 in the South Texas community of Pearsall has some Frio County leaders concerned tonight. 10 was the latest count. Those leaders tell our Paul Venema that their concern goes beyond the actual numbers, though.
The single largest employer here is this privately run South Texas ICE Processing and Detention Center. It houses over 1,000 undocumented immigrants. 7 of the county's 10 reported cases of COVID-19 surfaced here. 7 detainees and 3 employees, according to the city manager. He said it's not just those numbers that are concerning to the public and to local leaders.
I believe the concern is, again, on our end is just they want to be able to have good, solid, valid information.
And that, according to at least one county commissioner, is often difficult to get in a timely manner. His constituents, he said, want answers.
They're just demanding answers, and they're demanding answers from the people who hold them, which is GEO.
He is talking about the GEO Group, a private Florida-based company that operates the facility.
I'm not comfortable at all with the reporting procedures. It's something we have to work on.
An issue, he said, that's frustrating.
The one thing I've never wanted to say to a constituent is there's nothing we can do. That's the feeling that I have right now, and it's so frustrating.
Paul Venema, KSAT 12 News.
New at 6, as we begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel regarding new coronavirus infections, local doctors are beginning to question if there will be even more complications later. A recovery, it seems, may not be a full one. Ursula Perry explains that doctors are seeing more and more lingering effects of the virus with each passing day.
This is not like the regular flu. We've all heard that time and time again over the last few months. And now there's evidence of another reason why. Lingering after effects.
So we don't know yet what's going to happen down the road, just because we're still understanding this disease. We're still understanding what's going to be the outcomes.
One Maselli knows for sure is the result of a tracheotomy that is often performed to help COVID patients breathe.
Liberates the ventilator, but as you may imagine, it also leaves, an opening that with time also will need to heal as well.
In severe cases, the list of potential after effects goes much deeper, according to new reports out of Europe, which is weeks ahead of us. Previously, healthy people are walking away with heart disease, lung disease, kidney problems, blood clots, loss of taste, and a continued shortness of breath.
Where patients actually are left with scarring on their lungs and with persistence of shortness of breath, just because the inflammation of coronavirus was so intense that it left scarring in the lung.
San Antonio is only about 45 days into its COVID-19 infection, so we really don't know how local patients are going to fare afterward. There is some fear, though, that when cold and flu season strikes again, these patients are going to have a predisposition, perhaps, for complications from any virus. Ursula Perry, KSAT 12 News.
Time saver traffic right now. We've got a traffic trouble spot we want to show you. This is at 410 and Callahan Road. You can see, looks like a couple of tow trucks actually on the scene. That vehicle that's being towed away, though, was actually on its top in the middle of 410 not too long ago. That is being cleaned up quickly because you can see there is some traffic out there. Again, this is Loop 410 at Callahan Road. The westbound lanes, at least one lane open right now. It was not just moments ago. Well, new at 6 on the west side for more than 100 years, the mission of the House of Neighborly Service is now even more urgent with the COVID-19 pandemic. Although it helps young and old alike, Jesse Degriato says the longtime nonprofit has seen demand double for the freshly made meals it serves 4 times a week to seniors, the most vulnerable members of its community.
Happy birthday! Birthday balloons and a hot home-cooked meal. It's what the House of Neighborly Service does for its seniors on San Antonio's west side.
All the time they are giving us
Love. As well as a freshly prepared lunch like chicharrones con tomate, charro beans, and mixed veggies that seniors also can pick up. Its executive director doesn't want to think what not providing nutritious meals would mean for seniors on fixed incomes.
They do with what they have, and we're just providing that extra meal, the home-cooked meal for them.
Especially since the pandemic, being that its clients are among those at highest risk, most aren't taking any chances.
It's hard. It's hard to go into the store and buy the things we needed.
It's why meals prepared by the House of Neighborly Service have doubled since January. Yet with food prices growing along with demand and no end in sight, Morales says they need as much support as possible, as well as volunteers.
Gracias.
For the sake of those like Steve Guzman.
Just grateful to God, for this place, and hopefully it'll continue for a long time.
Thank you.
Jesse Degollado, KSAT 12 News.
Let's take a live look outside right now with live cam. A very warm one yesterday. A little bit more chill today.
This is more like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday we made it up to 97 for the high temperature. So we were feeling the heat yesterday. Today, not so much because a cool front is pushing southward through South Texas, and it's making a difference. The aquifer down nearly a foot today, and we're about 2.5 feet below the May average. Let's take a look at our pollen count. Just 2 allergens. I like to see this. Only mold and grass, and both on the low end. Temperatures right now range from 70s in the hill country to 90s farther south of San Antonio, around Bexar County for the most part in the 80s. Helotes an exception at 79, Port SA at 86, and Floresville 85. So we're going to talk more about the cold front that's moving through now and our next one that hits Friday coming up.
Antonio community. Tonight we're reporting 1,677 total cases of confirmed COVID-19 in our community. That's up from 1,652 yesterday. 2 of these cases are related to the jail, so that makes for 23 new cases in the community tonight. We are unfortunately reporting 4 deaths tonight. 3 of them occurred prior to April 26th, but we were just notified late yesterday, and one of them, as you may know, was an inmate at the jail. The demographics on those deaths were 2 Hispanic females in their 70s, 1 Hispanic male in his 60s, and 1 African-American male in his 60s. I do want to say that we are grateful that we now have another significant jump in recoveries. This evening, we count 802 fully recovered from COVID-19. That's 48% of our total caseload. We did, unfortunately, though, see a little bit of a jump in our hospital numbers that we're reporting tonight. 61 COVID-positive patients in local hospitals, with another 31 under investigation for COVID-19, for a total of 92 potential patients in hospitals for COVID-19. 35 are in ICU and 25 tonight are on ventilators. Our capacity in local hospitals still is strong, 76% of ventilator capacity and 32% of hospital beds available. We are going to hear from Kevin and Julissa in just a moment, but I'll turn it over now to the judge.
Just real quick, I want to express on Teacher Appreciation Day our thanks to all the teachers who are doing an extraordinary job trying to reach their students over the internet and keeping track of them. I know how difficult that could be. I want to thank Charles Budd, who has literally given hundreds of millions of dollars to public education and the great work that he is doing. I guess y'all listened to Governor Abbott today at 2:30 today, and he announced on May the 8th, this Friday, that hair salons and barbershops and cosmetology stores are opening. Tracy booked her hairdo today. I heard her on the phone. And I'm sure that Dora, my barber, will be glad to be able to get back to work on Friday. The governor also mentioned that he's opening up non-essential manufacturing. I'm not quite sure what he meant by that, but we were way ahead of him. I think we've opened it up on March 23rd, I think, and so we've had manufacturing going here since March the 23rd. I do want to thank our economic team, who you'll be hearing from in a little while. With respect to the small business loans that Bexar County has funded, we fund it through the LIFT Fund. They have loaned out now to 189 businesses, $3.8 million, and by the end of this week, they'll have the whole $5 million out. Just very quickly on the jail, we did have a death. He died today today in the hospital. Clifford Child, he was 66 years old. He was in jail since May 2018, pending a couple of murder trials that he would be facing. In the jail today, we have 294 positive cases that were brought about, but 217 of them were asymptomatic, which we're not quite sure how asymptomatic relates to in terms of passing the disease. So again, thank all of you for what you're doing.
Thank you, Judge. And we do want to remind you that testing continues aggressively in this community. So if you feel that you need a test, you can call our screening line. Just call 311, and you can be set up for a testing at Freeman or any of the other sites if you have a private provider for that. As I mentioned earlier, the City Council and the Commissioners Court today had a joint special meeting to hear from our economic transition team, which has been developing a set of recommendations for opening various services and businesses.
All right, we have been listening into our daily briefing by the city and county officials. There are a total of 1,677 total cases. The opposite happening today in terms of community transmission and jail cases. Yesterday, we saw them predominantly at the jail. Today, we are seeing them predominantly in the community. 23 new cases in our community and only 2 at the jails. And as you heard there, 4 new deaths to report, one of them being that inmate from the Bexar County Jail.
Right, that we reported on last night on the Night Beat. Also, the county judge talking about how happy he was that hair salons will be back open on Friday. He's going to make an appointment. Also, talked about the small business loans that the county has given out through the LIFT Fund. 189 businesses, $3.8 million. He says the whole $5 million in that fund will be loaned out by the end of the week.
We also want to remind folks that if you want to continue watching this briefing, you can go to KSAT.com. They're going to review some of the details of the Economic Transition Team's report, which was out today. We talked about a little bit of what was in that report at the top of this newscast in terms of that pledge, but certainly this is something that we're going to continue to follow in the days and weeks to come.
Absolutely. All right, let's transition to weather right now and talk about good news.
Yeah.
Good weather.
Those temperatures, yeah.
Adam.
Some people who like the high heat, and yesterday was your day. We made it up to 97 for the high temperature today, and not nearly as hot out there. And most of us are sitting in the 70s and 80s at this hour. But I want to take a look at the radar. Let's start off with this. A look at the radar and satellite combined. See a mixture of sun and clouds across South Texas, but a broken line of showers along the coastal plain. Victoria, Goliad, toward Three Rivers. That's where we have the cold front right now, and it's kickstarting a few areas of rain. There's some lucky folks that are actually cashing in on a few showers with this front. Around San Antonio, well, we're not quite as fortunate. We just have a mixture of sun and clouds, and stretching into the hill country, a little extra cloud cover. All right, so there is a shot at a few showers later on tonight. We have a little impulse of energy that's going to move overhead, and it could generate and kickstart a few showers. Look at 11 p.m., closer to the border, and basically Webb County, Maverick County areas, a few of the showers from Mexico. But then we get into the nighttime hours and pre-dawn hours tomorrow, and that impulse could generate a few hit or miss showers, maybe even a brief thunderstorm in the pre-dawn hours tomorrow and basically up through about sunrise. Now this model here may be a little aggressive, we think, in terms of its coverage. Nonetheless, it's one of those situations where we can't rule out some splash and dash little downpours later tonight and first thing tomorrow morning. It's the kind, though, where if you get it, consider yourself lucky. Look at the wide-ranging temperatures. We go from 74 in Kerrville to 94 in Cotulla. Big difference out there. We have this cold front that's moving southward, and it's going to continue to impact our weather. Temperature-wise, the next several days, we will be seeing a drop out there by the upcoming weekend. All right, tomorrow morning, 63, 85 by the afternoon. Not overly humid tomorrow. That's nice. And looking ahead, near average all the way through Thursday. Then Friday morning, that next front hits, sets the stage for 70s on Saturday. Yeah, 70s for high temperature.
Wow. Looking forward to that. Thanks so much, Adam.
All right, some speculation out there that this delay could be a good thing.
Well, if you think about it, there are teams out there who have players who were injured last season. And could this delay actually speed their recovery? In fact, get them back on the court sooner than they thought this season? When we come back, one of those names being mentioned is Kevin Durant, who plays now for the Brooklyn Nets. And also, one of the concerns of the 3-time Defensive Player of the Year for the Houston Texans when it comes to the NFL starting their season on time. Coming up. NBA continues to struggle on whether or not to return to play after becoming the first major league sport to shut down back on March the 11th. To resume at all or just cancel was left at the 2020 season is first. But after that, if they do resume, is it with the playoffs and in bubble games in Las Vegas or Orlando with no fans? But the delay in resuming play may also be an advantage to some teams like the Brooklyn Nets. That's where former Spur, now Nets general manager Sean Marks has left open the door in an interview with a New Zealand media outlet about the possibility of the return of Kevin Durant. Remember, he blew out his Achilles tendon in June of last year playing for the Golden State Warriors before he signed this past offseason with the Nets for 4 years, $164 million. And remember, Durant was also one of the NBA players who tested positive for the coronavirus, which may also complicate his return around other players at this time, even though the Nets held the 7th playoff spot when play was suspended.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
The NFL will release its regular season schedule this Thursday night at 7 p.m., but due to the coronavirus, may not be set in stone. The league has every intention of kicking off their season on time, but there is a big concern among players if it will be a good enough physical shape if training camps are set back due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Off-season workouts have been limited to virtual instructions from team strength and conditioning coaches, and since gyms are still off limits, players have been forced to work out at home. That concerns Texans star defensive player J.J. Watt, who told Sports Illustrated that you can't bring players back too quickly and there must be enough time to get in shape for the season, otherwise injuries will pile up. Dallas Cowboys have still not decided if they will hold their training camp in Oxnard, California, or at their headquarters in Frisco. All eyes on Dallas, since they'll be one of the first teams to open training camp on July 21st, since they're set to play in the Hall of Fame game on August the 6th. Dallas Cowboys have signed, sealed, and delivered Andy Dalton as their backup quarterback for Dak Prescott. His one-year contract officially signed on Monday gives him a base salary of $3 million with incentives that could pay him up to $7 million more than double his base. Dalton started 9 seasons for the Cincinnati Bengals after being drafted by Cincy out of TCU in 2011, but was cut to make room for the NFL's #1 draft pick, national champion, and Heisman Trophy winner Joe Burrow. In an ESPN podcast, Dalton said he had 5 other offers for his talents, but chose the Dallas Cowboys knowing the plans were to have him back up Dak.
I had some other options out there, and for me, just weighing everything, what's going to set me up best. This was a big picture plan, and I'm excited about it. Obviously, for this year, I think it's a good opportunity for me to learn and be around an offensive coach and be around a great organization.
All right, keep in mind, Prescott, who has not signed a long-term deal with the Cowboys and right now would play under the franchise tag at over $31 billion next season, has never missed a game, but he did play with an injured shoulder and lost to the Eagles in Philadelphia last December. That effectively ended the Cowboys season. Former Steel star, now Longhorn junior Caden Stearns held a virtual press conference today. Stearns has been in San Antonio helping the food bank, helping Bryce Wisdom celebrate his 17th birthday. Stearns was asked if he had any reservations playing this fall in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic that has shut down all live sports since March.
We're treating it as if I have a season. There's no other way to go about it. Obviously, safety precaution, and we're keeping those in line and making sure we're following orders. But at the same time, we have to treat it as if there's a season, and I'm pretty confident that there will be. So again, I'll be putting in to get better.
One thing that makes it a little difficult for Cade and the rest of his Longhorn teammates, they had a lot of coaching changes during this offseason, so getting them all together and working out is going to be primary before this season gets underway.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, Greg.
We'll be right back.
Welcome. This is a segment we call Coronavirus Q&A, and every Tuesday we are pleased to be joined by Dr. Ruth Bergeron, an infectious disease doctor from the Long School of Medicine at UT Health San Antonio. Doctor, thank you for joining us. And right off the top, I want to know your reaction to the latest openings that Governor Abbott made today with hair salons on Friday and then talking about gyms and other things that can open up on the 18th. Is it too soon?
Yeah, I really have to say that I caution our community to be very, very careful. I'm worried because even with the openings that happened over the weekend, there were restaurants that were opening appropriately, but then a lot of people from San Antonio were out there with no masks on. And so I worry that the community is not fully getting the message that, yes, we do need to go back to work. Please don't misunderstand. I agree that San Antonio needs work. That's fundamental. But we need to work safely. And safely means observing those physical distancing guidelines, and it means wearing masks. And I worry that if we can't get it together, that this is going to backfire. We don't want to blow this.
Yeah, like they used to have the signs that say no shirt, no shoes, no service. Maybe no shirt, no shoes, no mask, no service.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dr. Berger, I want to talk really quickly about the situation at the jail. Earlier in this newscast, we spoke with the sheriff, and he said he didn't think the numbers at the jail have spiked quite yet. In this story of the coronavirus, why is the jail such an important component of that?
Yeah. So I wouldn't worry about spiking or not spiking. We've been testing daily for quite some time now, and because of the limited availability of tests, we can't just test everybody all at once. And as we go through areas of the jail, we're learning that there are positive areas and negative areas. That's actually a good thing because it means that our efforts to separate people are working, and we hope to continue to honor that so we can protect people within the jail. But here's the thing that San Antonio needs to really understand. When you put people in jail, they are just not locked down like people on a cruise ship that aren't going anywhere. Every single day in our community, about 50 to 70 or 80 people come into the jail from San Antonio where they're going to get exposed. Even in spite of our best efforts, we try to keep people separate, but we're not 100% effective in doing that. So that's how many people come in, and about the same number go out. And they go out to our community and they've been exposed. And we try to tell them that they've been exposed and inform them that they need to self-quarantine, but that's a tough thing to follow up on in every case. Now, that's just the inmate population. Now, consider this. It takes a large group of people to properly operate, safely operate a jail. And so we have at least 550 people who live in San Antonio or very close to San Antonio who drive from their homes, come into the jail, do their work, and go back out into the community. And we do know that we have cases there as well. And we do know that people that are pre-symptomatic, meaning they've got the virus but they haven't developed symptoms yet, can spread it. And we know that people that are asymptomatic, although they're not very infectious, they can spread it too. That's what all the masking is about, is to prevent people that are pre-symptomatic or asymptomatic from spreading it to others. So the jail is not a static place. The jail is highly dynamic, it's mobile, and it's a place from which virus can come and spread to the population. And I just want you to know that there are some incredibly dedicated people that are spending hours and hours and hours every day, day in, day out, to try to get that situation under control. And so we need to support them and send our encouragement their way.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you pointed out that it's not a static thing. It's not a separate thing. It's something that affects the community. You talked about how restaurants, that you've heard reports of customers not wearing masks when they go in. Are you concerned that the whole issue of masks and face coverings has become a political, partisan issue?
Well, so it seems like in our country, we have a tendency to make everything political. Please remember, I'm an infectious disease doctor, so I'm going to leave politics to the politicians and just talk about infectious diseases. But, in this case, I think that masking is not about our politics. It's about caring for one another as human beings. And if we do care about having a community that is healthy and a society that is flourishing, then we should look for all of the ways that we can take care of one another, and that includes masking, Steve.
Anything else you can tell us about the numbers locally and your take on them before we go?
Yeah, so there's wonderful graphic information on the City of San Antonio's website, and I urge people to go look and watch what's happening there. You'll notice that what we call the epi curve has really come down very nicely, and that's encouraging, but that's looking at confirmed cases from the onset of actual illness. So that curve, which shows a nice steadily downward trend, that's different than the reported cases. And if you look at reported cases, boy, you'll see spikes as recently as May 1st and 2nd. Of course, a lot of that is due to the testing of asymptomatic people in the jail. But as I've just explained, those are not inconsequential because we worry that those people could contribute to spread in the community.
Dr. Ruth Bergeron, UT Health San Antonio, thank you for your time. And of course, we'll talk again tonight during the 9 o'clock news where we have some viewer questions for the doctor. Thank you.
Bye.
We'll be right back.
Some people will remember the famous ad campaign from Wendy's, "Where's the beef?" Well, it's a real question now, and it's the fast food chain asking that question. 1 in 5 Wendy's restaurants out of beef. It's about 1,000 U.S. locations, according to one financial firm. Wendy's is more exposed to the shortage because of its reliance on fresh beef compared with its competitors. The company said supply levels have been tight and some menu items might be, quote, temporarily limited at some restaurants in this current environment, end quote.
I do remember that commercial.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
Let's take a live look outside with Live Cam. A very beautiful 83, and beautiful but hazy 83 degrees out there today.
Yeah, definitely hazy, and we do have a little bit of smoke in the air as well, so you noticed that today, but not as hot as what we had yesterday. Actually, take a look at the almanac data. We topped out at 91 degrees today after a low of 76. That's significantly lower than yesterday when we were 97 in San Antonio, and the downward trend's going to continue. But you look across the state and you get up into North Texas, highs were in the 70s. You get down into the valley, even Laredo to Brownsville, well into the 90s. A cold front's pushing southward, and it's really having an impact on our conditions. We'll talk about that in our next front that arrives on Friday coming up.
Well, it looks like moms around the country are getting a little extra this for Mother's Day. The National Retail Federation says people are ready to spend more money on their moms despite the coronavirus outbreak. $205 on average. That is up $8 from last year.
Yeah, what are people planning to give mom? Electronics, housewares, gardening tools, and books are some of the top choices. I'm laughing because if I gave my wife something like houseware,
no,
she would not be impressed. The Federation says about 80% of Americans plan on celebrating Mother's Day this coming Sunday, but a lot of those gathering will be virtual instead of in person.
I asked my kids for pajamas.
See, there
Fitting,
you go.
Yes.
Love it.
Well, here's something that will appeal to Harry Potter fans, old and new. They can now listen to Daniel Radcliffe, who played the boy wizard in the films, read the first chapter of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Each week, someone different will read a chapter from J.K. Rowling's best-selling novel.
David Beckham, Dakota Fanning, Claudia Kim, and Eddie Redmayne are also slated to participate. The audio recordings will be available on Spotify and Spotify Kids. You can see video recordings on the website at harrypotterathome.com.
And of course, today is Cinco de Mayo and Taco Tuesday. The party may look a little different this year due to the coronavirus, but you can still celebrate. Festive foods to help us celebrate can both be made at home.
Curbside or carry out is also still an option. A lot of restaurants are offering discounts or family deals. By the way, a lot of people think Cinco de Mayo is Mexico's Independence Day. It's not. It actually commemorates Mexico's victory over the French at the Battle of Puebla in 1862. Yeah, if as a joke I wanted to give my wife like a vacuum cleaner or something.
You'd be sleeping on the couch?
It'd be funny to me.
Yeah.
You can have my couch. All right, I'll invite you over to spend a few nights at the Caskies. Everything.
It's not going to happen. I'm just saying theoretically.
I thought that actually as I was walking the aisles of Costco. I'm like, oh, that bigger Dyson. That's good.
You would.
Bad timing.
Yes.
All right, so let's talk about, I mentioned earlier a little bit of smoke in the air. Let's take a look at the latest readings that we have here from NASA and their satellite and their models, and it's showing that over Texas, Central Texas, and South Texas, we do have a little bit of the smoke in the air. I expect it to be blown away, though, later tonight and into tomorrow. Look at the temperatures. Right now, we're 97 in Laredo, but only 72 in Amarillo. Quite a difference out there north to south because of that cold front that's pushing southward. Cold front, cool front, whatever you want to call it. Technically, there is no such thing as a cool front. I just use them all interchangeably, though. 90 in Carrizo Springs, 84 Pleasanton, but 74 in Kerrville. So you see that temperature drop off. Hill Country, we're in the 70s, and you get farther south of town, and we're in the 90s. And this cold front, it's slowly pushing southward, and the effects it's causing are pretty gradual out there. We do notice a wind shift And it's a pretty healthy wind. It's out of the north, steady at 17 miles per hour. Even New Braunfels steady at 23. So we notice that breeze outside, and it is gradually going to push in some drier, less humid air. And you can see where we have that convergence of wind right along the coastal plain. That's where the front currently is located. But we still have a hint of humidity in the air here in San Antonio. You go into the hill country, you don't notice the humidity. It's crisp and a little more comfortable there, but thick humidity right along the coastal plain out ahead of the cold front. So for the rest of the week and all the way through the weekend, by and large, you're not going to notice the humidity. Late Thursday into early Friday, there will be a little blip of humidity at that point. You'll notice the mugginess in the air. But hey, for May, this is actually pretty decent. A predominant northerly breeze keeping these dew points down in the 40s for a pretty extended stretch. So if you don't like the humidity, I think you'll like the next 5 to 7 days. Looking at the radar, right along the cold front here, that's where we have some showers and thunderstorms that have developed, basically from Houston to Victoria, Goliad, almost into Beeville, Three Rivers area. Some nice little downpours for some folks along the coastal plain. And actually, that's one part of South Texas where we need the rain the most now, according to the latest drought monitor. So that's good. Also parts of Maverick County, seeing a few showers there, southern Maverick County. Not a whole lot on the radar screen, but it's better than nothing. At least we're squeezing something out of this cold front. And going forward here through the rest of the evening, we'll still see a few showers along that front in the coastal plain. Some storms in Mexico could just brush some of our border communities here in Maverick County and especially down into Webb County. But then even locally, we could have a few splash and dash little pop-up downpours, maybe even a brief thunderstorm overnight tonight and especially in the pre-dawn hours tomorrow. A little impulse of energy is going to move overhead. And although we think this model's overdoing the coverage a bit, still just the fact that it's showing something possible out there is some hope for a few of those hit or miss showers. But we think it's one of those situations where you'd be lucky to get it, because not many of us are actually going to see that activity. So you'd be lucky if you actually get it. Keep your fingers crossed. Maybe your lawn and garden could get that quick little splash and dash downpour. It'd be nice to see. So there is that chance through about sunrise tomorrow. Then we break out into sunshine again. So 63 in the morning, 85 in the afternoon, right near average for that afternoon high temperature. Not too humid either. And again, that rain chance just in the morning tomorrow. Still in the mid 80s on Thursday. Breezy Thursday and Friday, but the wind is going to be shifting directions, and that's going to have an impact on our conditions. An isolated shower with the Friday cold front, 20% chance. 81 on Friday. And then look at this. Saturday, we'll have a mixture of sun and clouds throughout the day. A morning in the lower 50s, a high of only 76. Mother's Day looking great. Sunny and 81 with low humidity. Enjoy.
That's a good looking weekend.
Good day to stay in my new pajamas, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hint, hint.
Hint, hint. In case you missed it, it's coming up next. Here's today's In Case You Missed It.
The Economic Transition Team presenting its own plan to reopen the local economy to City Council and Commissioners Courts.
So one of their main ideas that they came up with is a marketing campaign with a greater, safer together pledge that local businesses can sign to help build consumer confidence. The plans also provide a checklist for numerous industries on the best ways for them to safely reopen and operate. It also recommended the city and county help get critical health and protective equipment to small businesses. The Economic Transition Team also recommended working with the nonprofit San Antonio Economic Development Foundation to help make other recommendations for supporting small businesses happen.
North Star Mall and the shops at La Cantera have now reopened their doors. Both malls open today from 11 in the morning until 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. On Sunday, the malls will only be open for 6 hours from noon to 6. Sanitizing stations have been added. Shoppers will still need to abide by social distancing rules.
President Donald Trump making a promise. The country will reopen.
But experts are warning quickly relaxing coronavirus restrictions could cost tens of thousands of American lives.
How many deaths and how much suffering are you willing to accept to get back to what you want to be some form of normality sooner rather than later.
The San Antonio Botanical Garden celebrating its 40th anniversary by reopening today for the community. The Botanical Garden says that over the last 2 months, it has had to restructure its operations because of the pandemic. If you would like to visit the Botanical Garden, you must purchase tickets online. The website is sabot.org.
A lot of nonprofits are having a hard time during this coronavirus outbreak. That's why we've teamed up with our KSAT community partners for Giving Tuesday Now. For the past few weeks, we've been highlighting one nonprofit for Wish List Wednesday, but we want to help more groups in need of help. So today, we are highlighting 36 of them. If you would like to support these nonprofits, just go to ksatcommunity.com, then click on a nonprofit's name to see how you can help.
And if you need help, that's also available on ksat.com.
All right, so tonight through early tomorrow morning, we could have a few showers pop up. Hopefully you'll get lucky in your garden, lawn, everything, get a little splash of water, but I think the showers will be few and far between. Then 85, not too humid tomorrow. Cooling off this weekend.
Thank you, Adam, and thanks for watching the news at 6.
See you online at 9 and on the Night Beat at 10.